No matter what, there's always this seemingly never-ending supply of fanboys to criticize on YouTube. So today we'll be looking at a video talking about how Xbox is quote-unquote kinda bad. And this video is god-awful since they talk about wanting to move the PlayStation, even though they have a gaming PC, and the reasons as to why they don't like Xbox also apply to PlayStation as well. So without further delay, I'll let the video play. God, that shit brings me back to the classic 2013 MLG ear-rape intros. Although you can 100% tell the guy has ripped it straight off a Panzoid.
It was the Christmas of 2017 and I was at a store that sells games and consoles.
With the quality of this video being so low, I find it extremely hard to believe it's been in development since early this year. The video is running at 25 FPS for fuck's sake. No amount of debate could ever convince me he's been working on it for that long.
It was the first day I was going to get a console, and I get two choices to pick from: an Xbox One S or a PS4 Slim. Back then, I didn't know anything about good exclusives or which console is better. All I wanted was to play games with my friends back in my old school that I used to go to. Since most of my friends.
Now if you are wondering, I did blur the image myself, but you already know this is going to be painful to sit through thanks to the 25 FPS gameplay and the mentioning of console exclusives.
Friends own an Xbox, I chose the Xbox One S over the PS4 Slim, along with a copy of Forza Motorsport 7, but over time, throughout 3 years, I've regretted my decision to buy an Xbone, as it's pretty boring to own. And there are 3 factors that make my purchase of this console unsatisfying and regrettable, and that includes the community.
Ah yes, the community in which no way, shape or form do you have to interact with. The block feature exists for a reason, and you can disable getting messages / invites from non-friends. Also, most games have the ability to turn off chat, so this is a really pointless argument to make.
Online and exclusives.
I mean, yeah, paid online is a bitch, but this isn't an Xbox exclusive issue. It's an issue for all console platforms.
As of now, I've moved on to PC gaming, and I've only played my Xbox just to play other AAA titles and Game Pass.
Considering how he is running Doom Eternal, which has some of the best optimization I've seen in a video game, I find it hard to believe he's playing on a PC, unless it's his mum's 10-year-old work computer. And does he not realize that Game Pass is on PC as well?
And I'm planning on switching to PlayStation, and here are the reasons why I hate Xbox. Now, I don't condone fanboyism, but I just feel like I need the urge to express my frustration and disappointment with owning an Xbox. So let's get started.
You don't condone fanboyism, but you're going to sit here for 20+ minutes claiming that Xbox is terrible for the same reasons that apply to most other consoles, including PlayStation, which you want to switch to. You can really tell he spent months making this video. I mean, look at that quality.
You think this is funny?
In a cosmic sort of way, yes.
Well, Mr. Funny Man, is this how you get your sick kicks?
What? It's just an ordinary crabby. Oh my goodness!
Jesus Christ, how out of date is this?
Ever since the release of the original Xbox, the console was made for online gaming, and that's why Xbox Live cost money. Since back then, Xbox started off small and it wasn't as popular as PlayStation or Nintendo. It's as of now in 2021, Xbox has gained a huge fan base and a following, and yet they're still charging you to pay for online. It's a decision I still don't get.
I'm not quite sure how you can't grasp why they're charging for paid online. The answer is pretty simple: easy money. And this can be applied to both PlayStation and Nintendo as well. So the whole idea of you wanting to move to PlayStation for all these reasons makes literally no sense.
what they could have done is made online free right now then instead of planning on doing it, because not only will this decision be the biggest middle finger towards Nintendo and PlayStation for their online subscription, they would also gain more sales of the Xbox Series X and S and increase their stocks. But no.
Always love it when kids on YouTube try to act like they know what they're talking about when it comes to the business world. My guy, Xbox loses money on console sales, and with the loss of paid online, they'd 100% see less profits. This is basic common sense. Paid online won't be going anywhere so long as console users keep openly accepting it.
It's like they're trying to lose against these two Japanese giants. Xbox, the ultra-capitalist game company, just really wants you to give them your hard-earned money if you want to play the multiplayer on the next Call of Duty.
Oh god, this gameplay is giving me flashbacks, and no shit Microsoft wants you to give them more money. Also, how exactly is Xbox asking the fail in comparison to Nintendo and Sony? By doing what Sony and Nintendo copied off of them. The only reason PlayStation and Nintendo now charge for online is because they saw how much of a success it was for Microsoft.
And they made it more obvious when earlier this year they planned on increasing the price of Xbox Live Gold. Thankfully, they've backed down from this decision due to the amount of backlash it got from the Xbox community. But pretty much you can't lie that Xbox, the console company that used to care about online and games, just got too greedy.
Does this idiot not realize that Microsoft has charged for online since the Xbox 360 or something?
With the launch of the 360, that it basically caused the downfall of the brand.
Oh, for fuck's sake. He does know, and somehow he thinks the Xbox 360 was the downfall of Xbox, even though it was their most successful console, and it outperformed the PS3 for most of the generation.
Despite this, Xbox and PlayStation tries to give the benefits for their online subscriptions than just being able to access online, such as monthly free games and game deals, but for Xbox Gold, that's a different story, because free monthly games doesn't do justice for paying a monthly subscription for online, as every month, games with gold are either uninteresting or trash. Rarely do you get a good game that's on Games with Gold, as most of the games that are made free are either trash or bad. Most of the actually good free games are on Game Pass, but most of the library on Game Pass are games that you've probably played or are uninterested in.
Whatever this guy's smoking, I want it. Out of the 6 years I was subscribed to PlayStation Plus, I think I downloaded a total of 14 games, and out of the year I've been subscribed to Game Pass Ultimate, I've played a good 50 games off of the service, if not more. And that will only increase thanks to games like Forza Horizon 5 and Back 4 Blood coming to the service along with any new Bethesda titles.
What puts the salt in the wound is that this month, PlayStation made Star Wars Squadrons and Virtua Fighter free. But what does Xbox have?
Star Wars Squadrons, aka the only game in that list anyone could give a fuck about. And it's ironic how you're using that game to prove your point when you just said Game Pass has pretty much no games people are interested in. Because Star Wars Squadrons is on Game Pass.
Injustice. I'm sorry, but what the fuck? I get that Injustice is a good game and all, but still, they could have done better with this month's Games with Gold selection. I mean, what the hell happened, Microsoft? You were doing fine with the first few games with Gold, and now you've returned to giving out shitty games for free.
Oh my god, 1 month is bad in my opinion, even though I like the game, so Xbox Gold is permanently bad. I mean, that logic is solid.
Exclusives for a platform is important as it gives you a reason to buy that console, like a signature dish at a restaurant. But does Xbox have exclusives? Well, yes, but actually no, because most of the exclusives for Xbox ain't that good.
I'm gonna skip some of the talk about exclusives because it's completely degenerate. The only way you could say Xbox currently doesn't have any good exclusives on the horizon is if you're a blind man that didn't watch their E3 event.
Plus, these exclusives have been common, including future Bethesda games, is that they're already on PC, which is good, but a bad move to advertise your console because Who would buy an Xbox when you could just get the latest Elder Scrolls, Halo, or Fallout game when they're available on Steam?
The same millions of people who have bought an Xbox before. People who are buying a console more than likely are not interested in paying for a PC and vice versa. So it's only a good thing for Microsoft to offer their games to both platforms. Also, Microsoft doesn't care where you buy their games or where you subscribe to their services. All they care is about if you're paying for their services or buying their products or not.
Most of the lineup for the console is lackluster, and there's pretty much no reason to buy an Xbox Series X, since most of the upcoming Xbox exclusives aren't ready. So the only game that you get to play are games that are already on other platforms and previous Xbox One games.
And the same goes for the PS5 at the moment, unless you have a huge hard-on for Furry Simulator 2021 and a really shitty remake of Demon's Souls.
PlayStation and Nintendo, on the other hand, are releasing banger and after banger of exclusive games, as Nintendo has games that focuses on gameplay, like Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
I don't give a shit about anything Nintendo related anymore, to be honest. Steam Deck Master Race.
And no, Starfield doesn't count as a new IP, because it was already a project that was in development before Xbox bought Bethesda.
It is a new IP, my guy. There hasn't been a Starfield game before this one. I don't know how someone can even deny this simple fact.
My theory is that Microsoft is too stubborn to risk their money into new IPs or sequels, or else there would be a potential loss of money.
I love to break it to you, but Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda literally proves this wrong.
If only Microsoft weren't so greedy and stubborn into making new games that aren't the same old multiplayer third-person or first-person shooter, then maybe they will be able to compete with the two other console giants.
You'd think as an Xbox player this guy would know about Forza, Fable and other non-shooter games Microsoft puts out, but apparently he doesn't.
Every community has their negatives. One of them are fanboys.
This guy wanting to move the PlayStation couldn't get more ironic at this point. He hates the Xbox community for its fanboys, even though Xbox fanboys are at the moment an endangered species, and yet he wants to move the PlayStation, which has the largest group of fanboys out of all the consoles at the moment.
And Xbox is not an exception to this problem. Xbox fanboys are probably the most pathetic group of humans I've ever seen.
To be fair, I don't see Xbox fanboys making fun of developers for leaving a company after their brother died, so that he could focus on his personal life like PlayStation fanboys did. And saying that Xbox fanboys are the most toxic is a flat out lie. They're an endangered species at best.
At least I found human decency in the PlayStation community.
Ironic.
These fanboys would try to make up excuses to trick themselves into thinking that their purchase of an Xbox console is valid and a good choice.
It's hard to claim you're not a PlayStation fanboy when you're literally saying that Xbox isn't a valid gaming platform, and that any purchase of an Xbox isn't valid. You are 100% a fanboy, and the cloak of objectivity you tried to use at the start of the video starts to quickly fall apart when you make fanboy comments like this.
Most of these common arguments include 100 FPS, 8K, ray tracing, and backwards compatibility. Now let me tell you this. There's something called PC gaming, and with PC gaming, not only can you make specs of your computer to be comparable to that of the Series X, but you can also surpass the specs of the Series X, since RTX and AMD exist.
The fact this guy doesn't realize this also applies to PlayStation in literally the exact same way is fantastic, and it can now be applied to the Nintendo Switch thanks to the Steam Deck. It really goes to show the intelligence of your average fanboy in denial.
Even if you give valid points of how flawed the Xbox console is, fanboys would still argue that the console is good and give many excuses for many of its flaws. And yeah, the PlayStation has more flaws than the Xbox, but at least PlayStation gives you a reason to buy their consoles, unlike Xbox, since it doesn't have the benefits that make you want to buy an Xbox.
So the PS5 has quote-unquote more issues, but according to him, the Xbox is worse, because it doesn't have a reason to buy it. Surely if the PS5 supposedly has more issues, then that's a fucking reason to get an Xbox. It's literally impossible to claim you're not a PlayStation fanboy when you're saying dumbass shit like this.
Xbox was a console platform that used to start off decently, then they Sony go on their knees with the Xbox 360, but then they got too cocky and failed with the Xbox One. Ironic how a company that has been a staple of PC gaming couldn't compete with other console companies.
Microsoft did try to regain its throne with the Xbox Series X and S, but the launch of the console was underwhelming and lackluster.
If you somehow had some doubt left that this guy wasn't a PlayStation fanboy, then this should have definitely convinced you. In no way, shape or form are the Xbox Series X or Series S failures. Both the PS5 and Series X as well as the Switch have sold well.
Xbox and Microsoft could have dominated the console market if they just played their cards right, but they didn't. And now Microsoft is more focused on software than hardware. And who knows, maybe Xbox will suffer the same fate as Sega consoles and will deserve its place in console hell.
It's amazing to me that someone can think they aren't a fanboy and then say in the exact same video a bunch of fanboy-like stuff. And at the end of that video they claim the Xbox should be in hell. The pure lack of self-awareness is honestly impressive. However, we have finally reached the end of that awful video, so with all that being said, please do not forget to do all the things YouTubers love to beg you to do, aka check out my Discord, Twitter, as well as like, comment and subscribe. So now I'll see you all in the next video.